Hello, welcome to more yoga with me, Emily. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you are doing well. And at least for me today, it's a sunny day. So enjoying the sun. It's funny, this time of year in the winter, I always like, yeah, the sun's so awesome. And then you hear me in the summer and it's like, it's too hot. I want to be in the shade. So I guess the result of that is that we're never happy. But yoga helps us try to find that. No, I'm joking. Sometimes. Today I thought we would really work on Ardha Chandrasana, which is an amazing balancing, strengthening pose. It's a single leg balance. It's really, really useful if you have a block or something that can bring the floor up to you. Now, it could be a chair, right? Something that you can grab hold of. It could be a coffee table or the arm of a sofa. It could be tins from your pantry. Right? Anything that can just bring the floor up to you and give you a little bit of stability. If you don't have anything, don't worry. You don't need it. It's going to be harder, but that's okay. Hard things are what make us stronger individuals, right? Mentally and physically. Even if you have something to bring the floor up to you, it's still going to not be super easy. So let's start lying down. Isn't that cool? Like I scare people off at the very start of the class. Oh well. Once you're down onto your back, if you need a moment to get some wiggles out or just find a good position for you to starting, your legs could be extended. Maybe it feels good on the low back to have the knees bent, in which case I'd recommend taking the feet quite a bit wider. So maybe mat width apart, let the knees hang in toward each other. Or maybe choose to take the soles of the feet together and your knees wide into a butterfly position. And take a little loop of your shoulder blades onto your back, just so the heart opens a little bit more. And then for a few breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh your breath away. Couple more. And continue breathing however you need to. It could be in and out through your nose or your mouth. Notice how your breath is flowing. If it feels really open and spacious, great. If it feels a little bit rugged or smooth, or rather choppy, also great, but maybe try to lengthen through those choppy or sticky parts just to smooth the breath out a little bit more without forcing it. You might notice the expansion and contraction of the rib cage, maybe the widening and narrowing on the floor. You might notice the rise and fall of the belly or the chest. And just take a few more moments here to really tune into the breath. Last few moments here. And slowly start to bring a little bit of movement back to your body. Whatever way feels best to wake up. Could start really small with the fingertips or toes, or maybe go into a big yawning stretch right away. Until you feel ready to draw your knees into your chest and take a little rock from side to side. Now draw them quite close to you. We're massaging out that one part of the spine. And then take your knees arm's distance away from you. And then take the rock from side to side, right? Massaging it a little bit lower, right down on the pelvis and the sacrum. And that can feel, oh, feels good for me. And then you extend your legs. You could point and flex through the ankles or toes. Your knees can be deeply bent here. It doesn't matter. You might reach your arms up to the sky as well. Do kind of like flamenco fingers or rotations through the wrists. And then shake it all out. All right. Bring your left foot back to the floor. Keep the knee bent to start with and interlace your hands over top of the right thigh, or rather shin. You might start to draw that knee toward you a little bit more. If you'd like to deepen this, then extend the left leg on the floor. Reach the heel away from you. And getting a little bit more compression through the front of that joint. Keep that left leg really active. Last couple breaths. If you would like to, maybe curl your nose toward your knee. It's unlikely to touch. Keep the tension out of the neck and shoulders. And then bring your head back to the floor. Take your right knee out to the right. You might draw circles here to mobilize a little bit. Maybe you start drawing that right knee back to the back right corner of your mat a little bit more. Option to stay here if you wish, or maybe you kick your foot up to the sky for half happy baby. You could grab the back of the thigh or somewhere along the leg, the ankle, or the foot. Now I find half happy baby really quite intense, particularly with that left leg extended, so you can always bend that left knee again, and then even let the left knee hang out to the side. I mean, kind of getting like a cool balancing stretch on the left side, but go wherever you need to go. And then shake it all out, release that leg, and then we'll switch sides. So interlace your hands over top of the left shin now. And then maybe that right foot stays on the floor with the knee bent. Maybe you extend the leg away from you, really reaching the heel away. Deepen the compression just a little bit more on that left hip. Draw the knee toward you slightly more. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you curl your nose toward your knee, right, without gripping through the neck and shoulders. And then bring your head back to the floor. Take your left knee out to the left. You can draw little circles here if you wish. You can always counterbalance with that right knee, bending it and taking it out to the side. Maybe you stay here, just drawing that left knee to the back left corner of the mat. Maybe you kick the foot to the sky for some variation of half happy baby. Right, particularly if this is the first sort of movement practice that you've done today, go easily on yourself, right? It's quite intense. Last couple breaths, wherever you need to be. And then shake it all out. And then roll to one side. Make sure that you can still see me, at least on the first side. We're going to set up for a little bit of a reclining Buddha pose. So you might be on your hand, like you have the elbow bent, or you could just rest your head on your or your upper arm. Sometimes it feels nice to just wrap that top. I wrap the arm around the head. Your bottom knee can be bent. That's going to give you quite a bit more stability here. Or it might be extended. Okay. Start to externally rotate that top leg. And then bend the knee. Woo! So play with the balance a little bit. It's a little bit tricky, but that's okay. You're on the floor already. So what's going to happen? You just roll over, For me, I would knock over the bookcase and it would fall on top of me. So that's my motivation to not roll over. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you start to extend that top leg up to the sky. Now, it doesn't matter how far away from you or how close it is. It doesn't matter if that knee is deeply bent or super, super straight. Some of you I know are going to have maybe a bind here, like a toe lock, and that's cool. Go where you need to go. Maybe you just reach the arm up as well. Last couple of breaths here. And for those of you who know Ardha Chandrasana, right, half moon pose, imagine that instead of lying on the floor, that the top foot is the only thing on the floor, right? This is Ardha Chandrasana. So we're opening up where we need to open up before we go into it. Last couple breaths here. Right, blueprint this position. Okay, shake it all out. Little release. All right, it's pretty deep on the hips. Okay, switch sides. And if you're rolling away from the video, don't worry. You don't have to see me as long as you kind of know where you're going. Start out easing up, right? You could be with that bottom leg bent. You might have it extended. And again, that's going to be wobbly. You could rest your head, go wherever you need to go. And then bend the top knee, externally rotate. So the knee goes up to the sky. Option one is to just stay here, right? With that bottom leg either bent or straight. You're still going to get the work, right? The opening. Option two is to start to extend that top foot up to the sky. Knee can be deeply bent, right? The foot can be further away or closer to you. It doesn't matter. Maybe you hold on to the leg or the ankle. Maybe you have a toe lock here. Try not to hyperextend that knee though, right? Little buoyancy on that. I would almost call it the supporting leg, but it will be when we're in Ardha Chandrasana, right? You might extend that bottom leg, playing with your balance a little bit, getting into the groin, the hips, the hamstrings on that lifted leg. Last couple breaths, wherever you need to be on this side, right? Knee can be bent. Okay, bend the top knee, shake it all out, and make your way to hands and knees. Little wiggle or shake. Let's move through cat and cow. Inhale, dip the belly into cow. Exhale, tuck the tailbone round into cat. And so a few more of these spinal undulations on your own time, on your own breath. As always, if there's any other natural movement that would feel good here, feel free to go where you need to go. Last two breaths. Okay, and then look to the top edge of your mat. Just step into your standing forward fold. It's a little bit awkward from hands and knees, but that's okay. Eventually making your way here. Maybe you have blocks or something to bring underneath your hands to lift the floor up to you. Maybe you don't want them, maybe you don't need them. You could grab opposite elbows with hands to get more traction through the spine, but you're also going to get a deeper stretch, particularly through the glutes and the tops of the hamstrings if the knees are bent here. Try not to let the knees cave in or knock. Can you track them out ever so slightly to the baby toe edges of your feet? Last couple of breaths. And if your arms are bound, release them with fingertips to your shins, or maybe the earth. Inhale, little parway lift. Exhale, fold. Couple more. Keep the back of the neck long as you come up, rather than leading with the chin. And then bend your knees. Slowly start to roll up to standing. Keep your chin tucked into your chest the whole time. All right, so the head is heavy. Arms are heavy, knees bent, until at last they have to straighten for you to stand up. Couple loops of the shoulders, up, back, and down. Little wiggle, noodle, release. Yay, we're at the top. Or I guess we're standing. the top of our body positions. I'm not sure where I was going with that. Okay, feet hip width apart. Send the weight over to your right foot. Pick up that left leg, little buoyancy on the supporting knee here, and then step the left foot back as if for triangle. So it's not as long of a stance as it would be for warrior two. Think heel to heel rather than heel to arch. It's just going to give you more space, right? So it's about, I don't know, a couple feet back. Who even knows what a foot is these days? Hug the legs toward each other, right, without locking the knees back. All right, so there's still a little bit of buoyancy on those knees. Squeeze the tops of the thighs to stabilize. Hug the legs toward each other, belly button to spine, and imagine someone's got a rope on the top of your hip bone and they're pulling your hips back. So start to reach the hips back to the back edge of the mat. Back foot slightly turned in is going to help with stability here. And as much as you're having your hips pulled back, your upper body reaches forward to counterbalance. Now I want you to hover it out here for a few breaths so you can keep it easier on yourself by having the arms close into your body. You can make it harder by reaching the arms away. Yeah, as soon as you do that, you can feel that, right? Spiral the upper left ribs open to the sky. Maybe you scoop that front hip back and under a little bit to give yourself a deeper bend. Last couple breaths here. Okay, and then slowly bring that front arm down. Then you might rest it on your calf. Here's where if you have a block, it can be really useful to take some of the gravity out of the pose, particularly after just doing that hovering variation. Keep spiraling those upper left ribs open to the sky. So here we are in triangle, wherever you need to be. Lean your upper back into an imaginary wall behind you. Blueprint this pose, because this is also essentially the same position your body will be in half moon, except both feet are on the floor. Inhale, come all the way up. Shake it out. Step to the top edge of your mat and release. Okay, send the weight to your left foot. Little buoyancy on that supporting knee. Pick up the right leg and then step that right foot back. I'm going to turn to face you. Not that you don't want to see the back side of me, but you know, not super long of a stance. Back foot slightly turned in. Actually, mine is quite a bit turned in, but go where you need to go, wherever feels best, right? And it feels a little bit weird here sometimes. So hug the legs toward each other, squeeze the tops of the thighs to help support the knees while there's that micro bend, right? Rather than relying on locking them out or even hyperextending them. Belly button to spine, shoulder blades on your back, and then imagine again that someone's pulling your hips. Reach the upper body in the opposite direction. And again, we're going to hover here. So keep hugging the legs toward each other. Belly button to spine. If you want to make it a bit harder, scoop that front hip down and back. Right? Maybe you're here with the arms in toward you, giving yourself lots of support. Maybe you reach them away. Last few breaths in the hovering triangle, if you can. Spiral those upper right ribs open to the sky. Okay, and then slowly start to teeter-totter that bottom arm down. You could just press into your calf if you want to. Maybe you have a block or a coffee table or something nearby. And then really keep hugging those legs toward each other. Spiral those upper right ribs open to the sky. Lean back into that imaginary wall behind you. What that does is it stacks the weight of your upper body over that front ankle. And then hug the legs toward each other. Inhale, come all the way back up. Whew. Shake it out. step to the top edge of your mat. Little twist or wiggle or release. And then a couple breaths, eyes open or closed. Let the breath settle, let the heart rate settle. Okay, send all the weight to your right foot. Little buoyancy on that supporting knee. Have a block nearby, either ideally, rather, off a little bit to the right and in front of the right foot. So it's staggered slightly, just so you can reach it if you want it. If you don't have it, doesn't matter. Okay, weight to that right foot, and then step back with that left foot. It's for your triangle position, again, to start with, right? Because it's a pretty strong base of support. Try not to lock those knees out. Hug the legs toward each other. Shift the hips back. Scoop that front hip down and under. Okay, bring that top hand to your hip. Look forward. Bend into that front knee to start with. Belly button to spine. Shoulder blades wrap toward each other. And then slowly start to come up onto the toes on that back foot. And as slowly as you can, start to de-weight the back leg. Now here's where maybe you find a block. Some people might reach the floor here. For me, that's not great. Maybe you're just hovering the hands off. And then think of, as much as possible, stacking those hips open. Reach that leg, that lifted leg behind you. We tend to kick back, so reach the heel straight back. Maybe the top arm reaches up to the sky. Right, there's buoyancy on that supporting leg. You can hover it out. If you fall out, it's okay. Ardha Chandrasana, right? It's not easy. One more breath, wherever you need to be. Okay, and then like a ninja, step all the way back again. Oh, shake it out a little bit. Step to the top edge of the mat. A little release or noodle. Right, you can feel that all through the core, like through the middle, like your corset muscles really firing up to stay there. It takes tremendous strength and stability in the bottom leg. It takes tremendous opening through the hips, right, to get into this pose. So work towards it. It doesn't matter. I'm going to change the top edge of my mat just so I'll be open to you again. So if you have a block, bring it forward and left slightly of your supporting foot. Send the weight to that left foot. Pick up the right leg and step back to either a triangle stance, right, or a slightly deeper one. Hug the legs toward each other, belly button to spine. Shift your hips back, get that core activated, right, and then top end to the hip. Start to bend into that front knee. Look forward. And then as slowly as you can, right, sometimes we say spring into it, but that can be really unstable. So as slowly as you can, start to come up onto the toes on the back leg. Maybe you start to de-weight it. Maybe your fingertips find a block or some sort of support. Can you loop the top hips open a little bit more? Reach the lifted heel back. Right, your hand might be on a block. It might be hovering. Arms can go wherever. Some of you I know will have a grab of that top foot. Last few breaths here. Right, every pose is a core pose, so belly button to spine. Spiral those upper right ribs open to the sky. One more breath. And then slowly step back into your triangle stance-ish. Shake it out a little bit. And then come back to the top of the mat, eyes open or closed, couple breaths. Feel what you feel. Notice what you notice. Flick your eyelids open. Shake it out. Let's make our way down onto the mat. So inhale, sweep up to the sky. Exhale, melt to the earth. Forward fold. Couple breaths here. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, let it all go. Two more. And then bend your knees. Plant your hands, come down to hands and knees. Little wiggle of the hips from side to side, our little cat and cow. And then shift your hips on one side so that you can swing your legs forward to come into a seated position. Shake out the legs, maybe you lean back, do a little windshield wiper of the knees. Oh, that feels good. Let's release into those glutes a little bit because that was a lot of work. So extend the left leg in front of you, cross the right ankle over top of the left side. Now this might be enough for you on the outer right hip. If you would like more, keep your spine long, lean back, bend the bottom knee, and then you can interlace your hands by the back of that thigh. And you'll notice, right, the more you draw that thigh in toward you, the deeper of a stretch you'll feel on that outer right hip. As soon as you round through the spine, though, you lose the tension. So keep the spine nice and long. If you wish to come into fire logs, you can stack that bottom shin underneath. Maybe you stay tall, maybe you round forward. Go wherever you need to go today. A few more breaths here. Really let the doorbell ring. You know, this is what happens when we teach yoga at home sometimes. It's all good. Let the heart rate settle. And then slowly start to unwind. Unhook that top leg, shake it out a little bit. And then we'll switch sides. So left ankle crosses over top of the right side. Again, different side is a different sensation sometimes. So maybe you stay here. Maybe you lean back a little bit and try to deepen the stretch. Grab the back of that right side. Keep that spine nice and long. Chest proud, right? So there's no tension through the neck and shoulders. Maybe you bring that bottom foot in a little bit closer. Maybe you choose to stack the shins and come into fire logs. Or you could prop underneath the knees. Maybe you round forward. Going wherever you need to go. And you can see, I was able to do fire logs or rounding forward. But for me, this feels better today. Right? So it's about listening to your body, going where you need to go, because you know your body better than I do, and I can't see what you're doing, right? These days when we're practicing on our own, we really have to start to develop this ability to listen to our own bodies, to develop this kinesthetic awareness, which is cool, but it's challenging. Last breath here. And then slowly start to unwind. Unhook that leg, shake them out a little bit, and then clear anything off your mat that might be there. Make your way onto your back. Once you're down, hug your knees into your chest, a little rock from side to side. Let's end with a little bit of a shorter twist today. Right arm out to the side. Maybe you shift your hips right a little bit. Exhale, lower the knees to the left. As always, any variation of twist that you would like to take, but we only have a few moments here. Last breath. And then inhale. Return to center. Reset your pelvis and spine. Maybe you shift the hips left a little bit. Exhale. Lower your knees to the right. Again, as gentle or as deep as you need. Last breath here. And then inhale, return to center. And if there's anything else you need before your rest, feel free to go where you'd like to go. Otherwise, make your way into your final rest. It could be flat on your back, legs bent, or straight in Shavasana. You could rest on your side, child's pose, a seated meditation, wherever will feel really good for you, where your body can settle and reintegrate. Once you've found your pose of rest, for 3 breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh your breath away. 2 more. And let go of your breath control. Return to your natural breath, slow and sweet. Notice if you're holding any last muscle gripping or tension, maybe in the face or the jaw. And if so, can you release it a little bit more? So that with each exhale, your body melts a bit deeper into the earth. And then stay here longer if you can, 5 or 10 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.